2009 Ford Escape hybrid. Customer stated that the vehicle is not starting. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna try to check the DTC codes on it, if there's anything in the ECU, and we go from there. Before reading DTC, I just want to show you what it's doing when we turn the key on it. So right there, I'm turning the key and nothing really is happening. So turning the key and really nothing is moving in the dash. Only we see the lights come in and out. Alright, next thing we're going to check the DTCs. So vehicle was scanned and these are DTCs that are present in the ECU. So here we can see hybrid battery pack charging state is low, and if you keep going down, here we can see hybrid powertrain control module battery prohibited, and there's a problem with the inverter too as well. So most likely this hybrid battery voltage is low, and the customer stated that this vehicle was sitting for about 4 to 6 months. So most likely the battery is really low, and that's why the car is not starting. Let's try to figure out what the voltage on the battery is showing. So in order to check the battery voltage, let's go here and let's read the data stream, and there should be battery pack voltage. Let's see, where is it? Let's search for it. There it is, battery pack voltage. As you can see, it's currently showing 238 volts, which is below the threshold to actually be able to start the vehicle. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the battery volts have to be over 300 or 350. So let's see how we can get that fixed. So our plan of action to fix this problem is to charge the hybrid battery. Unfortunately, starting in 2009, Ford did not put a charging button for the hybrid battery to be charged. So we will actually have to remove the battery and charge it, and more on that later. I'll show you what's one way you guys can charge it if anybody out there needs it. First thing, let's push the seats up. Okay, and there's bolts all around the battery that need to be removed. There are some bolts here. This cover has to be removed. There are some bolts underneath it. These are, by the way, 8mm bolts, and the one all around the battery, those are 13mm bolts. And we're gonna first remove this cover right here. Let's put this in reverse. Alright, so there is one that is Phillips. So let me get that one. Alright, we'll use this one. Okay, that's not actually a bolt. That is just a little clip. Okay, so the clip has been removed from here. We should be able to take this out. Alright, we're going to put it aside. And there's two bolts, that 13 millimeters, that do need to come out. Alright, so we are going to start taking off those 13 millimeters, and this extension is a little too long. Let me get the other one. Okay, I got the smaller extension right here, and let's see if we can get these out. That's one, two. Let's go on this side. Three, four. Alright, so that's four. Let's keep on going. That's five. Let's see where else. Alright, so there's another one over here. Six. There's gotta be some under here. Alright, let me try to remove that foam. So yeah, so this foam needs to be removed, and there's 3 bolts over here. That's 1, 2, and 3. So I think we got all 9 bolts out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 in the back. 6, 7, 8. And this one right here, 9. So I forgot to mention that earlier. This fuse has to be removed, or breaker. We have to remove. It's very important that we remove before we actually attempt to remove the battery. So this actually should have been done in the beginning, right before even I started removing the bolts. So we have it removed now, but if you're doing this, make sure please remove it even before you start working on removing any of the bolts. There's a few more things we got to do before we can remove the battery. One of them is in the back of the battery there's a connector. It has to be removed, and there's a 10 millimeter bolt. In order to remove the connector, you have to remove this 10 millimeter bolt. Let's see if that will let me pull it out. I think the bolt has to come all the way. Okay, let's try it now. Alright, there we go. There's the connector. And there's another disconnect on the other side. We're going to try to remove that. Oh, there's a clip on it. Has to be removed. So in order to remove this part here, you gotta have another 13 millimeter bolt. Has to come out. And there's a clip, so I'm gonna remove the clip. Alright, this cover, I removed the bolt and the clip. You just have to pry it away, and there's a There's a connector right here. Just pull on it. It should disconnect right there. It should come right. So this was really tight, so I had to use this screwdriver to push it back, and then I was able to get this off. But this is how it looks. Now it's time to lift the battery out. Alright, so we were able to get the battery out. This is one really heavy battery, so this is not a one-person job. Minimum of 2 people, or recommended 4 if possible. The battery out right here. So before we go any further, there's a warning and disclaimer for this. Next step for us is to open this top of the battery, but as you know, this has very high voltage, and there is I mean, you can get seriously injured or even killed if you are not comfortable dealing with high voltage or working with a battery or something like that. I highly recommend you do not go any further. Do not open the top. And if you do decide to do it, be very careful about what you're touching, contacting, and all that. So consider this as a disclaimer, as a warning for serious injury or death can occur. So we're ready to take this top off here. The tools we need to do that is 2 bits. All right. So it's 30 and has a hole in the center. And then you also need a hex bit, which is H6. So this one, as you can see, is a H6. And this one is a 30. So Torx 30. Alright, first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take this side bolt out. This is with the H6. And there's another one on the other side. Okay. So now with the Torx bit, we're gonna take all of these out. Okay, that is everything. So there's also 2 additional screws here on the sides. We need to get those out. And there's another one on this side. Now we got all of them out. So all the bolts are out, ready to take the cover off. And yet there's 2 additional bolts we have to remove. It's 10 millimeters. Now we've got everything out. Since all the bolts are out, we are ready to remove the cover carefully. And put the cover aside, and this is what we have inside. All the batteries. There's the inverter right there. And we're gonna set up to charge this battery now, and I'll show you all how you can do that in just a moment. All right, next step is to remove the BCM. Earlier I said this was inverter, but actually this is a BCM for the battery. This is the module for the battery. Also, we will be removing this part here. This actually, the BCM was kind of hard to remove, so as you can see, I already disconnected all the connectors, so it's already loose. We're gonna take it out, and I'll show you where the bolts are. The two were easy to find, but the other two were very difficult. So there's two, as you can see on this side. There's one right here, the other one right there, and these two were kind of hidden underneath the harness, so it was kind of difficult to find those. There's one, and the other one's right in the center, as you can see. So since that is out, now we're going to start working on getting this removed and set up for charging in just a little bit. Alright guys, so next step was to remove this part. It was very difficult actually. There's two bolts, one right there, one here, and actually you got to take the bolt here out and the one down there, and these things will slide out. Also, you got to make sure this bolt here comes out, and because if you don't remove this or move this, it will be in the way of the harness. Won't let you slide this thing out. So now we should be able to lift this out and put it aside, just like that right there. All right, so the bottom one is the positive and the top one is the negative, and there should be no voltage as of right now because the safety switch is not connected. So now we have the safety plug back in, which means that we should have voltage here. Now this is actually our charger. As you can see the model number. The voltage is 430 volts at 0.35 amps. Input is 100 to 240 volts. Now this did not come with this plug. We had to put that on, so if you buy it, just make sure you buy the plug. On the other hand, on the other side, we had to put some metal strips to go inside and then tighten the bolts. So this part was a little tricky. You may have to play around with it a little bit. Now since the safety switch is in, we should be getting around 230 or 240 volts, and just be careful with this. Don't like short it. The bottom one is the positive, the top one is negative. So I'm going to touch the bottom one here and the top here, and as you can see, we have 238.5 volts, which is, it's supposed to be over 300 volts for the car to start. So now we're going to plug in the charger, let it run for at least 6 to 8 hours for let it charge, and then we'll test the voltage again. And if it's over 300, we'll repack everything and put the battery back in the car. It has been about 3 to 4 hours that the battery has been charging. I would like to get a reading to see what it looks like as far as voltage. So I'm gonna test the voltage on it very carefully. And as you can see, it's showing 349 volts. So we know the whole setup is working very well. We're gonna actually let it run for another hour or so and then repack everything and put the battery back in the vehicle. So 349 is a good reading, but we just want to go for another hour or so just to make sure everything is good by the time we put the battery back in. So the battery has been charging for over 6 hours. We're gonna test to see what's the voltage in the battery right now. So let's check it out. There's the bottom one's the positive, top one's the negative. As you can see, there's 352 volts in the battery. So we are good to go. We're going to just remove the charger at this point, get everything packed back up, and put the battery back in. All right, so before I take everything apart, I want to show you kind of these metal strips here. By the way, this safety switch is off right now, so we tested already. There's no voltage here, so we can actually touch it safely, no problem. But I want to show you these that I made to be able to charge it. So it's one of those kind of connectors, plugs. I had to cut it halfway because it was once I inserted it, it was not going in all the way. So I had to cut this piece right here for me to be able to insert it all the way. And then once it is inserted, you would have to tighten this screw. And once it's tightened, you'll see that it does not want to come out anymore. So that's when you know that it's got a good connection on the connector. So I'm gonna loosen it up, take it out, and I'm gonna show you the bottom one, which is the positive. So this one, let's put it aside, and we'll take the bottom one. And this is what I did for the bottom one, which worked well for me. We finished charging the battery. We placed the battery back in, made sure everything was connected. The last thing to connect is the safety switch, and we are going to test it. All right, we put it in the lock position. All right, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's see what happens. And yes, there he goes. It has started. So it worked, so guys. So if you guys are having this issue, charging the battery will definitely work. We just proved that. So we took the vehicle for test drive, and it seems to be running very good. And we checked the voltage. I just want to show you what the voltage is now. As you can see, it's 347 volts, which is very good. And with this voltage, the vehicle should start right up. And we've tried it many times. It should come right up. I'm going to try one more time. See, it comes right out. So the vehicle just started again. And as you can see, the voltage is fluctuating. It is getting charged from the vehicle's generator.